Sometimes life brings two people together in the most unexpected moments, moments that test our ego, reveal our true character, and remind us that kindness is more powerful than titles or status. This story begins in a cold aircraft hangar, where a single dad in grease-stained overalls was about to be humiliated by a CEO who thought she knew everything, until a small tattoo on his arm exposed a truth she wasn't ready for. Before we begin, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Welcome to Kindness Diaries, where every story reminds us of the goodness still left in this world. Mark Turner was the kind of man you wouldn't notice if he walked past you. Quiet. Soft-spoken. Always busy fixing something with his rough, oil-stained hands. He worked as an aircraft mechanic in a private aviation facility just outside Denver. Most people there respected him. They knew he didn't talk much, but when he did, his words mattered. They also knew he was a single dad raising his 9-year-old daughter, Lily, who was the bright center of his world. Mark had taken extra shifts for months just to afford her school field trip to Washington, D.C. Every dollar counted. That morning, as Mark tightened the final bolts on a jet engine, the sound of heels echoed across the hangar floor. Sharp, confident, and getting closer. Everyone turned. And there she was. Victoria Hale. The new CEO of the aviation company. Known for her strict rules, cold voice, and zero-tolerance attitude. She was brilliant, but everyone whispered the same thing: she treats people like they're beneath her. Victoria walked straight toward Mark, her eyes narrowed like she was inspecting a problem she already blamed him for. "So," she said, crossing her arms, "you're the mechanic everyone keeps praising. You don't look like someone capable of handling a multi-million-dollar jet engine." Mark paused, surprised. "Ma'am, the engine will be ready by noon," he replied calmly. She tilted her head. "Ma'am. That's cute. Do you even understand this engine's specs?" Mark didn't respond. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't defend himself. He simply continued working. That only seemed to irritate her more. "How can someone like you hold so much responsibility?" she scoffed. "No degree. No fancy title. Just a mechanic." Her words echoed through the hangar. A couple of employees lowered their heads, feeling second-hand embarrassment. Mark gently set his wrench aside and wiped his hands on a cloth. "I take pride in what I do," he said softly. "Engines don't care about titles, ma'am. They respond to skill." She smirked. "Skill? Let's hope you have some." As she turned away, her eyes caught something on his arm, something that made her freeze mid-step. A tattoo. A simple black silhouette of a fighter jet. Her face changed instantly. Shock. Confusion. Then disbelief. "Wait," she said sharply. "Turn around." Mark looked at her, unsure. "That tattoo," she whispered. "Where did you get it?" Mark hesitated, his voice low. "It's a reminder of where I came from." Her eyes widened. "That's the mark of the 82nd Tactical Air Wing." Mark nodded slowly. Victoria stepped closer, suddenly less confident. You served." Mark didn't look up. "I flew F-16s for years." The hangar went silent. Mark Turner, the quiet mechanic, wasn't just a mechanic, he was a former Air Force pilot who had once flown combat missions, saved crews during emergencies, and earned medals no one ever saw because he didn't display them. Not because he wasn't proud, but because he didn't need to. Victoria's voice dropped. "Why didn't you say anything?" He shrugged. "You never asked." She stared at him, really stared, as if seeing him for the first time. The confidence in her posture melted into something softer. Something human. "I'm sorry," she said. "That was wrong of me." Mark didn't respond. He simply picked up his tablet. But Victoria wasn't done. "How did you go from being a pilot to this?" she asked. Mark looked at her, and for the first time all morning, she saw the pain behind his eyes. "My wife passed away," he said. "Lily was only 4. I needed a stable job that kept me close to her. Something safe. Something that meant I'd be home at night." Victoria's expression twisted with guilt. And fixing planes, Mark continued softly, still lets me stay close to the skies, even if I'm not flying anymore. Victoria swallowed hard. I shouldn't have judged you. Or anyone, really. Mark didn't need her apology, but he appreciated it. Not because it lifted his pride, but because it showed she was capable of humility. The following days, everyone noticed something different. Victoria stopped snapping at employees. She asked questions instead of barking orders. She visited the hangar more often, not to inspect, but to learn. Mark and Victoria began speaking regularly, not out of obligation, but out of mutual respect. She learned he wasn't just skilled, he was brilliant. He could diagnose an engine problem before the computer did. He understood aircraft like they were old friends. One afternoon, Victoria found him sitting on a toolbox, checking his phone. A picture of Lily smiled back at him from the screen. Is that your daughter? She asked. Mark nodded, the corners of his mouth softening. She's my whole world. Victoria smiled gently. She's lucky to have a dad like you. Mark looked up. I'm just doing my best. A week later, Mark received a call from Lily's school. Her field trip fee hadn't been fully paid. He was short by a small amount because of unexpected bills. He didn't panic, but he felt defeated. As he hung up, Victoria overheard the conversation. You okay? She asked. Mark forced a smile. Just life. Victoria nodded slowly, then walked away without another word. The next morning, Mark arrived at work to find an envelope taped to his locker. Inside was a receipt.